Okay. Right. Welcome, guys. The task for today is to analyze or share some insights of what is expected of a case study. Since this is a new one and new model which is coming up, so it was decided to explain what is expected and how do you try to analyze a case and what are the uh, requirements that you need to work through with. So just to start off, uh, we need to know how do we create this strategy. So I'm going to touch upon what you need to study, what you need to know to create this strategy on. So I'm sure you already have referred your textbooks and you already have studied what is required to face this case study. Um, First one, you need to work on a external analysis. So the moment the case study comes in, you need to work on external analysis. This is what I generally do even when I do the case study analysis for the chartered accountants. You need to first work on a external analysis. So this external analysis could be on a totally micro perspective, which covers the pestle or scan step, and also on the micro perspective, which covers your industry analysis or the five forces analysis. So probably you have the two frameworks or the theoretical frameworks which can give you assessment of the external situation. Then you need to work on your internal analysis. So we have different tools to be used on internal analysis. You can either make use of a value chain analysis. You can start on a research-based view, or you can go on a RIN or RIO or McKinsey 7S. Any framework which will go and help you to understand the internal perspective. So end of the day, what you get out of these two is your, from your internal analysis, you get your strengths and weaknesses. And from your external analysis, you get your opportunities and threats. So once you have that, once you have the SWOT framework, then you should convert that SWOT into TOS. So generally that's how it works off. Because the TOS would give you a idea of how do you create your strategies on. Yeah. So I'm just holding the SWOT. I just put up the SWOT over there for some examples that you can pick it up. This is an example. Okay, this is not the case studies SWOT matrix. It's just an example, and then we will proceed. Once you have your SWOT matrix done, then you have to work on your corporate level analysis, which is like how you're going to grow, whether you're going to grow organically or whether you are going to grow inorganically. So organically, we know that you grow by yourself. Inorganic, either you take your organization with somebody else. I mean, you merge or you acquire, or you go on a strategic partnership. So the strategic partnership could be legally bound, like the joint ventures, or not much of legally bound, like your strategic alliances. So you could go on different forms. Now, I'm giving you a background of what you should know before you go on to a case study. So that's why I'm just giving you just a rough coverage. Okay, I'm not going into details of everything. I'm assuming that you all have studied these areas. So that's why I'm giving you all the background, what you all should know. So when it comes to the actual case, when it released, when you do a case study, I will do these things in a little bit more detail so that you will understand how and what need to be done. The second area is the direction. Generally, this is very important because this is where most of the organizations would derive what they are going to do in the future. because this is a fantastic growth avenue, the direction where organization should go off with. Things like whether you're going to grow by going into a market penetration. If people would have read the case, you all would see they have used that word very specifically. Yeah, they have said penetration. So market penetration, is that the way that you're going to grow? Number one. Number two, is it the way you're going to go on a product development? So onto the same market, are you going to develop a new product and deliver to them? So probably something quite similar, which is seen in the case, and they are mentioning these as well. But let's go and dig a little bit deeper when you go into the case. Then the third one, what you can create this strategy is the international strategy. How you are going to go overseas? Whether are you going to export, or you're going to have some partnerships and you create an agency over there so that your products could be sold by them, or are you going to work on fully fledged operations over there? Here we could see in the case like Melta has a manufacturing plant in Thailand. So that's one of the ways that they have moved into their operational perspective. But on the growth side, how are they going to capture the market is the second question. So that's the international perspective. Then on the corporate level, you're going to look at the portfolio. How does your portfolio going to see? On what basis you're going to work through? So if you look at Melta today, Melta is into three main areas. That's the first one is manufacture of gloves, manufacture of rubber, handwares. I would say that rather than saying gloves, because they have different grades and different levels that they are thinking of. That is one. Then they have a backward integrated on another SBU, which is their plantation. They have taken over a rubber plantation, and they are getting their raw materials from them. That's their second one. So that's another portfolio what they have. Then the third one, you're looking at a diversification strategy, which they have gone into, which is the hospitality industry, the Regency, Eagle Regency. So now we need to know whether are we going to expand the portfolio, or are we going to stay within the portfolio. Now, the most important thing in this portfolio management theories or the frameworks, what you learn is to make decisions, about what are you going to do with these portfolios, how much you need to invest, how much you need to, what do I say, how much you need to take care of it. What is the size of the organization? Whether that is a relevant and important organization for you in the future. So these are the questions that this what you call the portfolio analysis could give you. So this is something that you all have to think about, because obviously you're getting into a conglomerate. So you need to work on that. So what I would suggest is this area is going to be a quite important area. You need to have a look at it very carefully, and also you need to look at the just a moment, I'm searching, right? Okay, you need to know thoroughly about the ANSOF matrix as well, because that's where you're going to create strategies with the help of the SWOT and the TOS matrix. So you need to be careful. Now, specifically in this particular case, you need to have a look at international strategy also, because you are operating with some foreign clients. So you need to look at how this would work, right? Then we get into the business level strategies. If you look at the corporate level strategies, you're looking more of the corporate to make decisions, like on how are we going to grow, whether we will acquire somebody, whether we will grow by ourselves. So those decisions are made at the corporate level. And also on the direction, how are we going to go, how are we going to direct, how are we going to, on which direction we are going to take. So that is also comes from mostly from the corporate area. Then expansion into international markets also come from the corporate area. Plus the type of portfolio what you are going to hold is also be decided by the corporate. The business level strategy generally decides on your competitiveness. That will tell you whether you're going to work on cost leadership, or whether you're going to work on differentiation, or do you hybrid in between. So we have two models over there. We are looking at Porter's generic strategy or Bauman's clock model. So now these are the options available. If you have read your case study carefully, you would see that the examiners are asking about prioritization. I will cover that when I'm coming into that particular area. I will talk to you all about the prioritization. So they are very specifically saying prioritization. When they are saying prioritization, that means they want you to generate few strategies. They want you to tell what are the options that they have. Then accordingly, then you have to prioritize it. Accordingly, you tell me which is the most relevant strategy in this particular case. And it's all justification. So don't expect an answer from me for this case, because that is not the way you should go about. Because we are given that liberty for the students to come out with their own suggestion and justify it. So the moment you justify everything, the moment you justify your answer, so that means you're talking with some base, you're talking with sense. So that is what we are expecting, and that is what the end of the day, as a chartered accountant, that is the role that you're going to play, because you are going to be in a kind of an advisory role, not just taking these numbers and figures and onto that particular area. So you need to be more strategic. So that is the plan to bring it out. Yeah. So just a moment. I just raise it off. Right. Okay. Now, once you finish that, you need to go and do a evaluation. Once you select a strategy, you need to go and work on an evaluation. Evaluation could be based on suitability, acceptability, feasibility, and I saw in the case where they're talking about a feasibility, yeah, about the question they're asking about the feasibility on one of the areas, yeah. So that's a part of it. So then probably if you're looking at the feasibility, you are bound to talk about the suitability, the acceptability also. Yeah. So that is very, very important. Don't forget to do that. Now this is where the whole new way of testing changes. You need to understand what the expectation of the examiners are. Yeah. Then once you do that, then you have to come up with a plan. How do you implement it? So probably you can implement through Canvas model, or any other models what is possible. Maybe you can work on a kind of a small project, or like when I say project, end date and the start date and the end date should be there. What are the milestones that need to be covered? So give a rough plan. You don't have to go into detail, because within the 3 hours you might not be able to create entire project, but then you can give them a rough plan. This is my timelines, this is my time zone, because they'll be talking about a certain period. So then you need to work on that particular certain period, how you're going to achieve it. So if you're planning to achieve from by 2021 to 2026, you're expecting a 50% growth, then year on year, how much I should get, what are the plans for the year on year business to go on, what are the new things that I'll be doing at first year, what are the new things I'll be doing at second year, how do I accumulate. So you should have some kind of a plan because you need to implement it. So the implementation should be there. Now, this is something I try to talk everything into one particular slide because y'all could see one slide with everything what you need to know. So that's why I try to work it out. If it is cluttered, I'm sorry, but this is what I thought. It's much better so that the entire syllabus is now covered in one particular area with regard to the strategy. So this is where you look at the strength and weaknesses, opportunities and threats. You can see it on your left side and the top column area, where this is where you start writing on this is what you have analyzed from your case. Now, mind you, this is an example. Okay, this is not from the case. This is an example I'm quoting, right? Then how do you create the strategy? Now you need to learn. You need to be more creativity. Okay, I always challenge people to be more creative when they are looking at it because different people with different perspective, different lines, they could they would know that they could have different options to create strategies on. Okay, so that's very important. So I've given you different options here. So you could read through the options. You could have sorry about it. Discard. Just give me a minute. Right. Sorry. Right. Okay. So think of the way that that how your what do you call your SWOT matrix would TOS matrix would help you in creating these strategies to go. So this area is going to be very important also. So I marked directions to understand your BCG matrix. That's important. International would become important because you're already dealing on international perspective. So, and creation, and the other part, very important if you're looking at the critical aspect of it. These are the 5 areas which is going to govern or which is going to make your life interesting in any case, because the rest of the story is very fundamental. You should know about it. There is no second question that you should know. You don't know about it. Yeah. So this is just a brief of how what do you call how the strategy should worked on, or how the strategy should be created. And this is what you'll be learning in your syllabus, what we have set about. Okay, so that you need to take this into consideration. Right, let's move on to the case now. Before I go on to the case, I will be covering the management perspective that we are looking at. Out of 80 marks, we are looking at 50 marks on that managerial perspective. So I'm taking that particular element. So if you are looking into finances will be done separately. But this is the management perspective that I'm looking at. So that need to be very clear. So don't have any expectation that I'll be doing your finances. Finances, you all are going to teach me, not I'm going to teach you all. Okay, so I could only tell you all what need to be done, but then finances, you all will be much better than me. I'm sure about it. Right. Okay. So when you look at Melta, as I said, like they have a arm in Italy marketing, and also they have, as I said, in Katnayaka, Watupitiwala, and Koggala, and Thailand, they have these manufacturing facilities. They have a plantation, and also they have this hospitality. They have a nice hotel in Kandy located. So this is the general setup of this particular organization to go off with. And if you see what they are good at, when you're going about with any case, I would suggest, guys, try and mark uh, when you all are doing the uh, analysis. Try and mark whether uh, when you see something, whether it is a strength, whether it is a weakness, whether it is an opportunity, whether it's a threat, whether it has something to do with the culture, because you will not know what type of questions will be asked. So you need to gather all information. And if you see, when I'm going on, you could see there'll be S, there'll be T's, there'll be O's. I mark something on U, so I will tell you what the meaning they would carry forward. Yeah. So Melta is a diversified. In my view, that's a strength, because you are not putting all your eggs in one basket. You are diversified. You have a totally related diversification, as well as a unrelated diversification. That is, like, you're gone into hotels, and also you're gone into a plantation where you are backwardly integrated. So that in my view, that's my view. It's a strength, because you will not get affected unless, unlike a pandemic situation, each and everyone got affected, each and every industry got affected. Generally, that's what happens. You don't get affected in all perspectives. Yeah. So that is very clear. They are into latex and knitting. You know what knitting means. Okay. Knitting is where you use the thread, and you knit the gloves. So you would have seen different kind of gloves coming in, because they are on their handwear. So that means, like, they have opportunities to even to go into sweaters with the knitting element. So later on, if they want to expand, that could be done, because it is the same technology what generally being used. Latex, that is obviously rubber based. So they are onto the rubber based industry as well. Global reputation, once again, I put a S. Note, guys, yeah, dealing with about 40 countries. It says they are very innovative. They are very quality conscious. They're quite responsible manufacturing practices as well, which is really important, really good. You would see, like, why Sri Lankan garments are accepted worldwide, and although we are expensive, still Sri Lankan garments get the orders. That is because we are a responsibly manufacturing center. Um, all the factories, or I would say even most of the factories, I can't say all the factories because I've not seen, most of the factories in Sri Lanka, they have a very high reputation of maintaining those employees who are there, legally provide them what they should be getting. It could be facilities, it could be minimum wage, respect, empower them. So there are a lot of programs. And also, there are factories who go on carbon neutral. There are factories who go on, environmentally friendly products. They are on a sustainable manufacturing process. So all these things are there. So following that, that is one of the biggest reason the people would even pay a little bit more when it comes to bigger brands. Unfortunately, now one of the bigger brand is no more. It has been shut down. Victoria's Secret, I hope they come back after this in a different name or whatever it is. But this is what could happen in a pandemic situation when you're not stabilized in what you sell. Yeah. So responsible manufacturing, it could be through your manufacturing process. You see that they're talking a lot about manufacturing process in the case, they have the best manufacturing process, right? So they are manufacturing process which contributes for efficient, productivity, and sustainable, all three together. So this is just one clip of it, what I thought of sharing with you, because this is very important to understand what Melta is being formed of. So that would help them to sustain, even to sell their products. They could endorse stamp. You see that they are on the two-way manufacturing system. We will talk about it in a little while. So all these aspects, all these reasons are there for them to understand, to show how Melta is positioning themselves in the market. Yeah. Supported and unsupported gloves. I'm not sure whether you all have looked into what you mean by supported and unsupported gloves. Supported gloves is being built um, on with the base of something inside already. Like you have kind of a cotton um, uh, uh, lining inside, and you build on that. So that is the supported gloves. Unsupported gloves is being built by the dipping the ceramic mold or whatever into the latex and allowing it to dry, something on that nature. So it's a different processes. That's the end of the day, that's what they would say. So that means our melta has both they are capable of manufacturing both the type of gloves, because it's two different systems that you need to work off with. So they have that ability to adapt. That's what it says. Okay, so they are these all very good strength aspect of it. 5,000 jobs currently, with 25 years of history. Now they are aiming to be at 7,500 in 2021. Now that is going to be very exponential, because you see, for last 25 years that they have grown with 5,000 jobs, and within a year they are expecting to grow that by 50%. Okay, so that's something very I don't know whether it is very optimistic or whatever. um, that's something very interesting, because it shows the board of directors aggressiveness to work towards growth. Yeah, so they're expecting jobs to be increased by another 2,500. You're looking at 5,000, 7,500. That means that they want to grow very fast in next 2 years. That's a plan what they have in their mind. Okay, so and they are very good in their technology, and they are what they are saying is they will work on the engineering plus the human resources. So they are very careful, and they are walking the talk. You can see on the coming slides, they are walking the talk. So I've already marked SS. You can see that, the strengths. I'm already capturing the strength. Now this is what you should do when you try to work on a case, to see, identify how you could get, as I said at the beginning, identify those areas where and what it will be, where and what would be helpful for you. Yeah. Just to give you further brief background, I'm sure you guys have done this as well, but then I thought of, then if you have missed something out, then you will know exactly um, anything else that you need to cover, or whether you anything else that you need to see. So 1995, Alexis Ceylon at Katnayaka, then Nitrel, then Vatupitiwala. Then in 2009, they went on to, they created Melta, advanced technology gloves. That's what they are believing in. So you can see what are the, what they are about. They are globally and locally, they are in the markets. They believe in innovation and quality, because this is where they are talking about the uniqueness also coming up here. So they have a system to track the markets, and they get the end user involvement, which is very good. Talking to people who are using these gloves, talking to the on medical areas, on other general areas, automated plants. So that means they have highly skilled people, because if you're if the people who are working there has to work with the automated plants, so those people who are in charge of those plants has to be highly skilled. No, you will not have the low-end labor, because if the plants are very highly automated, they should know about how to troubleshoot with the plants as well. So they will be highly skilled people. Then quality assurance, two-pronged. Have a you all have read it, like, it's been system certified as well as the final product certified. Okay, so in both sides. So there are so many QA certifications, there are many SLS seals or whatever you're talking about. So it's good to know that they are onto the systems as well as onto the final product as well. Highly specialized tools and skills. So I could say that as a skill, and I've marked as U as well. That is unique. Yeah. Now these are the uniqueness. Now the strengths you could have, strengths you would get. Okay, strengths. If you will have the strength, but this uniqueness is what give you the competitive advantage, the competitive edge, right? So now these are things that you have this uniqueness coming in. So there is a production tracking methodologies, which is unique, as well as the process flow competencies, which is a unique as well as a strength. So you could easily start identifying like that. Now, I'm sure this is not all the uniqueness in the case, because probably I would have missed certain things. Your duty is to go line by line in any case. Okay, so don't take it for granted. This all it has, and or something else. If I missed it, please add on to the list. Don't say that Martin has missed it or whatever, right? Okay, then up to now the case, when you look at, you could see so much of skills, so much of strengths coming up. So I try to summarize everything together. Yeah, their strengths up to that particular point of the case. So they are global and local. So that means what? That means that even if there is a market loss in the global arena, there is they could cover up with a local arena. So they have two markets to go on with. Then that will give them a fantastic platform on the local market, because since they're manufacturing for the international markets, the standard of the product will be so high, so they can easily beat the local market competitors. Then innovation and quality, track markets, end-use environment, automated plants, empowered employees. Now that is very important. What do you mean by empowered employees? It's like the in Toyota plant, each and every employee can make a decision. Now, if an employee sees now they are highly skilled people, automated plants. So if they see any flaws in between, if they see any flaws coming up, they can stop the entire line. Mind you, they produce 60 vehicles a minute. So they're stopping means the production line is going to stop. Okay, if the production line stops, that number of vehicles output is going to get reduced. So each and every minute that they waste, each and every minute that car is being lost. So that's critical. Okay, but the employees are given that advantage, given that empowerment to stop the vehicles. Now even here at Melta, that empowerment is given to the employees to make decisions on the factory floor, which is very good and which is very unique, because the employees can detect, because they know that they have the power, they can stop, they can see any flaws coming up, they can immediately stop it. Top level skills and attitudes of the teams, you could see by reading, which is uniqueness, because that is, they have said on the case itself, it's a unique ability. They have the industry insights very well. So the feel of the market is always been there. Quite loyal customer base, yeah, spreading on 40 countries. So that which is very, very interesting and very good. Trust on the brands, and even the professionals endorsed it. Okay, you could see the doctors are talking about their gloves. So these professionals also endorse. Not only the organizations say their product is good, the people who are using it also say that their product is very good. So that is very, very, very important, and the professionals endorse it. Yeah, we just covered on the last slide the two-pronged keyword system. That is the system and the final product to be certified. Highly specialized tools, production tracking methodologies, process flow competencies, professional endorsements. Technologically, they are the leader. Okay. Technologically, they are the leader. So remember that. It says in the case. And they are committed for continuous improvement, because they are not stopping at a point they are not they are not gone into the complacency saying that, we are now very good, so we'll just stop developing. No, they want to go on continuous improvement. Continuous improvement means Kaizen, step-by-step improvement, looking for opportunity for improvement. So that's why they were able to make that sustainable manufacturing standards. Environmental and social obligations. So organizations are quite environmental and social obligations. So they're given a example of that. Social obligations is also there. They are contributing 100 million for the COVID fund, which is welcome to see. And also there is a trust relationship trust with the stakeholders. So the buyers knows that what they are doing. The employees knows what they are doing. So major stakeholders know, and they have the trust with the organization, which is absolute strength. So you could see a very nice organization. First time in my taking these case studies, revisions or whatever at CA. This is the first time I'm coming across a case study which has plenty of plus points. Otherwise, we always get the minus points. Yeah. So this case study talks a lot. This case study talks a lot about their strengths. Unfortunately, they are. You could see when I go on, it's very hard to find some negative perspective on that. Yeah. But we had to find. We could find. We could assume certain things. That's why your case stays also. So let's see how it goes on. Further, when you go on to analyze state-of-the-art factories, it's a huge cost. I've marked few things here. I've said that could be for 5 forces. And one of the 5 forces is new entrants. So if their factories are going to be huge cost, that means huge investments. So new entrants would not be coming in because it is too expensive, right? So that means the entrance power would be lower. So that means the industry is interesting to be in. Okay. If you see very clearly, that is being confirmed and stated in when they're talking about the pre-seen unseen material. They are very clearly talking about, and they are saying that. Let me have a quick go through that and tell you. It says anybody could come in with high investment. Anybody could come in. Yeah. So into that particular manufacturing market, they said. Sri Lankan made solid tires become more popular among Western countries, and any company with high capacity of investment. So you could see that very high capacity when you're starting up, high capacity of investment and raw material can easily enter into the global solid tire market. That's a market that looking at. That's on page 3 on top, page 2 end, and page 3 on top on the unseen material. Yeah, so you can have a look at it. That's how you derive. Okay, that's how you derive. It's pretty expensive. People could come in, but they must have enough capacity to enough money to spend it. Yeah. The CEO is very happy that they are a fully integrated organization since 2007. There is no outsourcing. Pretty good. That gives me a few questions in my mind. When you say you're not outsourcing, that means, number one, you're expert in what you're doing. There's no second question, okay? Because that proves in the case. The case says that they are very good. They're skilled workers, skilled employees, automated machines. They're pretty good. In my view, you're not outsourcing means that means you have enough capacity. So you're not manufacturing to your potential. That is my view. Okay, guys, start thinking on that nature. Start thinking on that nature. Now, these are the assumptions that you could make because the case says that any assumptions you made to indicate. Okay, so they're saying on your question, page number 5 on your unseen, it says you are required to you are not required to prepare table content, executive summary, introduction or conclusion. State clearly any assumptions you make. So that means you can make assumptions, safe assumptions. Okay, don't make unsafe assumptions. Say for example, my assumption would be in another year's time, US dollar will be at 210. Okay, that is my assumption. Why? That's how it has gone. That's how it has worked through. Somebody might say, I can even contradict that and say, in another year's time, the US dollars could be at 175 because of these particular reasons, that we are stopped bringing in unnecessary things. We are not importing unnecessary products. Our fuel cost is reduced. Fuel price is reduced to the market. So the amount what we have to spend on the fuel is going to be much lesser for next 4 months. So our foreign currency bills are going to come down. So therefore, blah, 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 blah reasons, the dollar value also could be down. Okay, but I don't think that they will want that dollar value to be down because the purchasing power of the tourist should be quite high. So then they would feel that Sri Lanka is not very expensive to come. Otherwise, if they don't get the value, they might feel that Sri Lanka is expensive. Already we are expensive, so they might feel that you are more expensive now. So you have to be. It's how you play. It's how you have to think of, right? So that outsourcing, I'm not indicating anything. That's why I put a question mark in front. Then I said enough capacity. So you could. It's your view how you take it, because there's nothing right, nothing wrong. Okay, so you could always say, oh, fine, we don't depend on anybody. We have the raw materials, we have the conversion process, we have the manufacturing capacity, and also we have the markets. So we are fully integrated, no issues at all. Yeah. So we have the backward and forward. That's how we go on. Research and development and production, all three on the same lines. So all three work together. They are pretty close, which is I could call it a strength. And since I put a question mark over there, also we are all depending too much internally. What if we don't consider certain things, what is happening externally? Yeah, since we are not getting anything from externally, what happens if something goes wrong in what we produce? But to answer that, they already say that we have a feel of the external market outside. We said there's strength, so that would compensate. Anyway, these are the things that you need to. These are the ways, not that these are things. These are the ways that you need to start looking at a case. Start looking at how how to extract information from the case. It's very important. Average rate of growth you are looking at for last 5 years, it's been 7%, which is pretty good. So if you look at 7%, that means you are grown by 50% by this time. If you look at the 7% year-on-year growth, you are grown at 50% by this time. So which is pretty good for last 5 years, which is interesting. So keep that 7% in mind. Okay, keep that 7% in mind, because now the CEO wants to go at 10%, right? So keep that 7% in mind. So we will have a discussion on the contradiction coming on that particular stage. Okay, so they've been good with your normal businesses. They've been good with the normal manufacturing of their latest latex gloves, supported and unsupported gloves, and they have been doing great. And then they come to a bottleneck. It is one of the biggest issue in the rubber industry, is the natural rubber shortages. Yeah. Now they have given enough reasons. When you go on, you will understand why the shortages are there. Different reasons, which is beyond the control of the organization. So that becomes a threat. That's why I put as a T over there. It's a bottleneck. Yeah. And also constantly you have this price fluctuation. As accountants, you would know when price is fluctuating, it's very difficult to talk about your profitability margins. Yeah, it's really tough. You need to continuously analyze to see what if the price goes up, what if the price, because it's very unlikely the price coming down. So it's always the erratic movement of the price upwards spiral. So then you have to be pretty careful of what your pricing would be, because the cost might be high, and then you might be ending up losing because if you have already quoted to a certain company. So you need to be very careful on that particular perspective, because you'll be manufacturing in millions of gloves, and then you'll end up in a bigger loss if you don't monitor the pricing and the cost of the raw materials. So that's very important. Because of that, what they did was like they had a backward integration. Now this is something diversification. Yeah, this is linked to Ansoff matrix, right? So Ansoff matrix is very clear that they are making use of this diversification strategy to stabilize their raw materials, because they realize that this is the only way, this is one way, and probably the best way that organizations can make sure that the raw materials could be available by integrating backwards. So 2010, they bought over a plantation as a separate SBU, pretty good, under a different director, excellent. There is a a firewall now built in. Initial stages there were losses, obviously, because if you see the Melta's capabilities and Melta's culture, that they are looking for high-end automated new productive systems to be in place rather than outdated technologies. And the outdated technology would be inefficient now. I'm not saying that the outdated technology cannot be made use of. That's why they're making use of outdated, not the old technology. Old technology could be better even now. We are talking about that in the plantation, the irrigation systems. Our ancestors' irrigation systems are the best systems in the world, which we have already forgotten about it. And we have gone into so many different ways of looking into this water irrigation, but our ancestors had this fantastic irrigation system earlier, which we have just collapsed it. So what they did, they sent all the excess labor because of the outdated technology. They upgraded the outdated technology. They send the people out, giving them a voluntary retirement scheme, because they didn't want so much of employees to be there unnecessarily. And now these are the issues which you would face, and these are the issues that would come back as well. Yeah. So since 2013, they've been profitable, pretty good. In 3 years' time, they could turn it around. So they have about 1,800 employees plus daily wage employees who are on the field mostly. So you would know that probably when they say they are on the field, they may be the tappers, they may be the what do you call, the collectors, latex collectors, tappers, and transporters, and so forth, right? And now this particular SBU operates separately, and they give to their own plants. They give to their own plants, which is available in Sri Lanka in 3 different areas. Plus, they have their own foreign clients. And also they supply to the tire manufacturers, because they don't manufacture tires. Yeah, especially we have those details. We'll have a look at it, and you will see where this tire manufacturing and where this latex business is going. So I'm able to pin certain things out. On to the second diversification, or that's the first diversification. The case does not mention this as a diversification strategy, okay? But then if you really look at it, they're getting into a market. So it's a related diversification, okay? They're only manufacturing people, they don't know how to manufacture latex. They get the latex and then they manufacture the latex-based products. So creating, it's like retailing. Okay, it's like retailing. Now, say for example, you take the any supermarkets, they have vegetables in their shelves. They don't know how the vegetables are grown. Yeah, so but they are selling vegetables. It's the same thing, right? So probably what they will do is they can cut the vegetables into pieces, and they can make some value-added vegetables to go on. So that is exactly what Manita was doing. Now what Manita has done is like certain supermarkets going into the backward integration, go and do the farming. The same thing what they have done now. So it's a backward integration. It's a diversification strategy, which you don't know the market and you're entering into the market. You're completely you're not sure how to do this, but still you've done it. Yeah. Then you have these foreign clients overseas and the domestic tire manufacturers, plus the own plants that you supply these raw materials. The second diversification is the going into the hospitality industry. Once again, totally new industry, totally new product. They don't know what it is. They don't know how to operate the hotel. They don't know how it looks like. I'm just running it through because it was fascinating to give so much of details. 5 suites, 20 luxury, 30 deluxe. Now I have a question. When you add this up, you're talking about 5 suites, 20 luxury rooms, and 30 deluxe rooms. You're talking about 55 rooms. So on average, you keep 3 people in one room, for example. Okay, yeah, 3 people. Then that's about 165 people. They've said at any time they can accommodate 300 guests. So is that 300 guests they're talking about, including the 2 restaurants what they're running with, pool and the gym what they're using off with, or is it including of the 2 banquet halls that they can hire it out for weddings or whatever it is? So I have a little bit of a question over there about this 300 guests. So I'm not very sure, but don't break your head. Don't break your head too much, but keep that in mind. Okay, keep that in mind. So probably if you want to take on a ballpark figure of working things out or suggesting anything to your case, this is what you're going to do. Okay, I'm doing all these things since I'm assuming I don't know anything about the pre-scene. Okay, I don't know anything about the pre-scene. So that's unseen. Yeah, I don't know anything about the unseen. So I'm doing like what you should be doing in the instance when you get the pre-scene material. Okay, now you all must be very comfortable because now you all know the question. Okay, good that if you can link these things also with the question. But the crux of the matter is like when you get your pre-scene material, you need to work these things out line by line, page by page, break it into pieces, so that you would have entire information that you can fix it on. Now, pool, spas, 300 employees, 2 banquet hall from 2016 to 2019, 26% on the profitability. 2019 bomb blast, I put a T. That's a threat. Yeah, because that you can't avoid it. You don't know what it is. Yeah, you don't know how it works, so you can't avoid it. So that's a threat for you. Looking at why I not put any strengths or weaknesses in earlier cases, because there are hotels with good numbers than this. Yeah, so 20 luxury rooms, 30 deluxe rooms. You're looking at 5 suites. It is not magic. It is not something that others don't have. Yeah, there is nothing giving you a uniqueness in it. But of course, they are highly talked about the location and the serenity and serendipity and all those stuff. Yes, 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 very good. But then there are so many other hotels also. Yeah, and they are not talking about the location which others don't have. Yeah, so there are hotels which others the better locations. So then that's why I not put anything as a S strength, because for me, yeah, probably you could make it as a strength, but not as a uniqueness. Yeah, to go on with. Then what happens after 2019? Then back again, the tourism industry goes to sleep. This is, you could see now. Okay. So whatever the profits margins that you're getting from the hotel, now it's dropped. Luckily, the rest of the things are still working. That's what I said at the beginning. Diversified organizations could survive if something goes wrong in one particular industry, so forth. This is interesting. This is very interesting. Okay. So what they did was, like, they started attracting the locals. So they moved from the foreign market into the local market, because they have to survive. They have to look at 300 employees. Nobody been retrenched. That's a good news. Yeah, nobody been retrenched, so they have been keeping them. So they had to run even with losses. But still, for the 2020 projections are not so good. Yeah, even the quarters, they're not so good. They're looking at what, 12% occupancy, and it's not, it is not very, very interesting, or it's not very good. So this is the situation where you are in your diversification areas. Then let's get into the present situation. Just give me a minute. I'll take a sip of my water. Sorry, guys. Right. The present situation where your occupancy rate is going to be low. So that's, I marked as a weakness. The fixed cost, again, I'm putting as a weakness, because you have quite a high fixed cost involvement. If you work on the break-even point, then you will know why I'm saying that. That's quite high. COVID threat, nobody can do anything about it. We are pretty good, to be very honest. Sri Lanka is pretty good. I will talk to you all why. Sri Lanka is pretty good. We are in good hands and good safe net now. We are doing good. We have to be very careful about. We have to be very careful about the second wave, or anything which sparks off. We're doing great. Lockdown is a threat, because that's for everyone, isn't it? Like, it impacts everyone. There's no second question. We saw during this COVID time, and even the present time, although they got the orders, okay, but they could not meet the orders because they could not find the workers, because it was lockdown, and also it was difficult to get materials, and that's one of the issues that they constantly have. Yeah. And also at the harbor and the cargo, they could not, it was not functioning properly. It was not functioning. So, that is beyond the organization control. It's the outside market. So that's also a threat at that particular point. Now I suppose at present it might be east of, but your case, according to the case at that particular situation, that's how it is. Yeah. You could see now the situation, because of this particular COVID, and no raw materials have been used for some time, and still the plantation have been working, allowing these tappers to do their job and collecting the latex. Now the stocks are available for a couple of years. Yeah, now their stocks are available for a couple of years. So couple of years, okay, that's going to be very interesting. Couple of years, be careful, okay, and that will come very handy when you're answering your question, when you're answering your the case, right? Because it clearly says now they have stock for couple of years. Okay. Opportunities for expand globally. There is huge opportunities to expand globally, so it's pretty good. Expansion, people still they are looking at the opportunities. I will talk to you all with the opportunities in a little while. Number of no employees have been laid off. Okay, that's very good strength. Morale of the employees will be very much higher. I'm not sure whether they did any salary revisions or any pay cuts or whatever, but still for all, nobody been laid off. It's very, very, very good. Yeah. So that gives you, that sends you a very good signal that talks about their culture of valuing the people, because we know why they can't, why they are not, why they didn't lay off, because their employees are highly skilled people. So that shows their commitment to keep the employees, because they know that businesses could be turned around in a short time. We went and donated 100 million for the COVID fund. I'm not marked here as anything, but I would put it as a strength, because your brand and your acceptance with the present regime, I would say it's good, because people will keep in mind who helped at the need of the hour. Yeah. Obviously, you have this working capital issues, so I've marked as a threat and a weakness, because working capital issues would have not been there if the COVID situation is not there. The case very clearly explains how the working capital situation came in, because they had to shut down factories soon. So there was a lot of work in progress, and there were stocks in the stocks what they have taken off with. So all those things have accumulated the working. Yeah, so it has get into the working capital issues, right? So now it depends on the other threat. So still, for all, we could not manage it, so that becomes our own area. So then that becomes the weakness. Way forward, the CEO very clearly indicates he's talking about and asking the directors to find new opportunities. Simple as that. Yeah, he's asking the CEO is asking the other directors find new opportunities. So that's why I said the ends of matrix would come into picture very clearly. Whether you have an opportunity to go further deep into the market penetration. Whether you have opportunity to create a new product into the market, what you are giving, that's a new opportunity. Whether you are looking at a new market which you are not exploited, which is like 40 odd markets that you're operating, are you looking at some other market? It could be a market segment, you're onto gloves, but then it could be a different product what you're looking at. Yeah. So CEO very clearly talks about finding new opportunities, go for new opportunities. And he sets a target of 10% long-term growth. Now this is very interesting. You have been growing on 7% year on year for last 5 years, and suddenly with all these crises, he wants to go on 10% long-term growth. You could see that aggressiveness. This is what it amazes me about this particular organization. Even at this particular stage, even this particular situation where countries are going on negative growth, including Sri Lanka, they are predicting about 2.2% of GDP to grow on 1.7%. Then they are not, and we are expecting to grow at 10%. Yeah. So now this is where it's going to go very hard. You could see that even goes into give further details. Handwear, that's a gloves area. Handwear, they want to go on penetrating. They've used that word penetrating. Okay, they want to penetrate. So that means what? Into the present market. Go further into the present market. Make sure that you have this more usage taking place. That's what the penetration means, right? You increase the usage. You ask the same market, same product, increase the usage. Yeah. And also they're looking at a new, I would say, a new product, a new market to go off with, new medical equipment industry. So go on to that particular area, because you could see there are a lot of companies which has come up during this COVID time. Yeah. Especially providing with medical equipments, the beds, the which was not required earlier, the ventilators, the gloves, the mask, the personal protective equipments like your face shield, your hats, your coat, the overall coat, a lot of things, including shoes. So there are a lot of companies which have come up very fast, and they're making big money in that particular area. Yeah. So the first SBU that they're looking at, which is I suppose contributing to the biggest level. So they're talking about certain strategies there. Then they're talking about in the rubber. Yeah. So they want to look at the industrial rubber products. Yeah. So they want to look at the industrial rubber products. So industrial rubber products, if you do a research, that you will know what kind of products it's there. It's like you're talking about industrial tiles and things like that. Yeah. And also they have said they are going to go with joint venture. You remember what I said, how to grow? So here we go. Yeah. You're going to grow with a partner, a global business partner, at a joint venture. The interesting aspect is, like, somebody might say, from where do you get this what do you call the rubber now? And you remember, we have rubber stock for another 2 years, a couple of years, right? So within that 2-3 years, whatever the stock that we can deplete, we could create more. Yeah. Backward integration, create more. We import from Thailand. Yeah. So Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, other manufacturer, Malaysia, other rubber manufacturing countries. So we import from them, right? So you could see, but Sri Lankan rubber has a special place. Yeah. Sri Lankan rubber has a special place because we do it right. Yeah, we have been one of the pioneers, and we do it right. Then you look at the third one, the Eagle Regency. Now the CEO is directing to change their focus to overseas market back again, because he knows that the local market, the revenue is not very high. Yeah. So now he's saying focus on the overseas market back again, so that they could get people coming in and making use of the hotel, and the revenues to start flow. Then they touched upon these agricultural investments. Okay. So agricultural investments, because they're talking about the growth of the population. So people need to have more food. So we can, target the locals and the globals. So when they were talking about targeting local and global audience, immediately what it came into my mind was, what is common to local and global audience is the organic food. Yeah. Otherwise, it's totally different things that we like and eat. So when it comes to the organic word, organic food, natural, nature, natural, that food, that has a very common platform in the global scenario as well. Yeah. So now these are the ways that you must try to analyze when you get your real case. Yeah. try to make those links, try to make those adjustments. Where are this commonality coming from? What do you need to do? So go now. These are the areas that you will need to dig a little bit deeper when you are doing your analysis. Because remember, guys, still you all don't know the unseen. Yeah. So without knowing the unseen, that we talk on that particular perspective. So search for information. Go and look at where the handwear market believes. Go and look at the way the rubber market behaves. Go and look at the way who are the major competitors in the market, major players in the market. Who are the people that could be attracted to come into Sri Lankan context? What are the latest trends in the agricultural investments? So all these things can be taken into consideration, because these becoming quite critical, quite important. Now we get into the three areas which the CEO has said that you need to be looked upon very seriously, right? You could see the economic impact. Sri Lanka is concerned because we have quite a limited capacity in our incentive care bed per person. Yeah. So we have a very limited capacity. So if we have a big surge in numbers of any COVID patients, we will run into risk. There will be a health risk, because we will not be able to cater. Then you don't have to think negative about it, because the so-called developed nations also could not cater. They have to make a decision. They have to make a call. Who is going to live and who is going to die? Yeah. But unfortunately, or fortunately, some people who went on the ventilator died, and people who didn't go on the ventilator lived. So that's how the nature. I don't know. That's how, whether the nature selects or whatever it is. But that's a constraint. So yes, we don't have much capacity. Therefore, in case if there is any outbreak, if there's anything very strongly comes back on the second wave, we are going to be constrained, and we'll have that risk. Our health will be at risk. So you have to remember that particular area. There's no second question. Global slowdown everywhere you could see. Yeah, it has weakened the demand. So when they weaken the demand, if you see, there are big names have shut down. In big time, they've been operating with high margins. They're shut down, right? So that has interrupted the supply chain disruptions. So anybody who have joined new, you will know why I put T over there. The T is for threats, because we don't have any control over it. And also the remittances in Sri Lankan context, Sri Lankan economy, the remittances play a bigger role. When I say remittances, the remittances coming from our Middle East, our brothers and sisters who are working in the Middle East, who are working pretty hard and remitting money from that particular country. That remittances have a very, very real slowdown, because they are out of jobs. Their masters cannot pay them salaries, so they are struggling, right? So this is where the situation is. This is where the situation is, because we depend a lot with the foreign nations. Yeah, we depend on Middle East for these jobs, and we depend on tourism with three major regions: India, China, as well as the European nations. So everybody's in trouble. Okay, everybody's in trouble. So we have these remittances. We have the issue. Tourist industry, they are worried about the second wave, as well as the quite hindered growth. So it's all looking on negative perspective here. Drop in oil prices, huge drop in oil prices. I don't know anyone of you all knew that the oil prices are trading at negative. Do you understand what negative means? That means the manufacturers would give you money to take away the oil from their production sites. Unfortunately, nobody had the capacity to do that. So, because months prior, all the tankers were taken on rent. Yeah, all the tankers were taken on rent, and people, I don't know whether they predicted it or whatever it is, so they went and collected all the oil, and they got paid as well. So invariably, the tankers rent has been already been paid by this free oil what they got, and the money what they got in their hand. Yeah, so it is like that. Obviously now situation is getting back a little bit better, because you know how it works, right? It all works on demand and supply. So when supply is high and demand is zero, because for last 3 months or last 2 months, nobody traveled, nobody's moving around. So when nobody moves around, everything is going to be intact. So then everything is going to be intact. There is no value for it, right? So that's how it works. So we will not have any impact. We have not had any positive impact or negative impact. Probably we will have the positive impact with the government trade accounts, but not on the there's no benefit onto the either the private sector or to the people, because the prices have not been slashed. It has not dropped down. Neither so we will invariably, we are not going to have major impact, but economically we might have an impact, because the amount of money what we need to pay is going to be lesser. We would have imported less oil and so forth. Yeah. Still, for all, with that positiveness, we still have a negative current account balance, because our merchandise trade has gone, our services we have lost, the remittances are negative. So we can't help it. Okay, we can't help it. So in top of that, you can't go on reduce the price and you incur further losses. It's not possible to do that. On the other aspect of it, the government has taken measures, monetary measures, to go on the lower interest rate and refinance of debt payment and so forth. So that's an opportunity. If the organizations have the facilities to be rendered, they could get it in a quite a cheaper way, cheaper manner, right? That's how it works. FDI flow impact and non-debt capital flow is also affected. So people are not investing, people are not giving money to us. When you look at the non-debt capital flow is also affected, because we don't get any grants. Okay, there's no grants coming in. So we would be having an impact. So this is how the economy is going to grow. They are looking at GDP to be at 1.5%, and the expected per capita increase, they're expecting it 3%, 5.7%, 7.2%. This is like the predictions to go on. But why did I do this at 3%? No, I just took the percentage of the increase in the table what has been provided in the case. Why I took that is because we should see the cost of living, how this is going to have an impact, and the way the organization has to look into the salary perspectives, the pricing perspectives, and so forth. So we need to have a rough idea whether the affordability of the people the purchasing parity would come into play on this particular aspect. So that's why this information is being translated. So overall, it does not look very good. Now this is where we have to see, but then there are certain opportunities to get your finances in place. So you have to work around it and get the benefit out of it. But looking at the economic impact, we are on a complete red area, threat side. That's what the case says. Agriculture, on the other aspect of it, obviously this is where the information came in from, and this was something at the start when I went and read the case, like I was wondering like why they are having so much of information. Then I realized, as I said, like probably this is the indication that certain things could be tested or certain things could be informed at the unseen. Yeah. So population increases. Obviously, that's an opportunity because you have bigger market to reach. Old system replacement of plantations. Since 1960, hybridized seeds, infrastructure, synthetic fertilizer, pesticide all came in, but now the productivity is stagnant. Um, so I've said that as an opportunity because you can go and improve it. Yeah. I'm looking at that perspective rather than saying it's a threat for me. If I produce, then my productivity is not going to be low. Since Melta is capable of using technologies and they are very good in adapting into the technologies. So that sounds pretty interesting. That's why I've said that as an opportunity, not as a threat. Yeah. You could see the low farmers' income, socially responsible organization. So probably could work with the farmers to increase the farming community's income. So now these are the things that, when they could work in partnership with farmers. Okay, work in partnership with farmers, looking at new ways of manufacturing, looking at new ways of producing, looking at organic production to go off with, so that you can increase their farmers' income. And now this where is going to be interesting to see. This information is very vital. Okay, so when you look at these details, so you need to have that calculated guess, a right guess to go why this information has been given, why they are talking about this, because there are plenty of information which you feel unnecessary, but then there are other side of it which you can make use of it as well. Yeah. Land water diminishing. So you can see why they are diminishing. Industrial activities and urbanization, that's why they are diminishing. Why they are going into industrialization and urbanization? Because the return what they're getting from the land, what they have, is not enough. So therefore, what they're doing is like they're working on, so that means they don't know to get the best out of the land. So new technologies are not there. That's why these nanotechnologies are coming in. That's why when you go on to see that, the type of things what they can make use of in agricultural sector, we are doing nothing with it. Okay. That's the strength of Melta. Melta can bring in these technologies in. Yeah. Erratic weather pattern. Not all countries have this, but even in Sri Lanka, we have this erratic weather pattern, but then it is not the worst side of it. Okay. We should be able to manage it. We should be able to, if you are careful about it, if you don't destroy what we have now, we should be able to survive for next couple of centuries without any problem. So that means sustainability is going to be very important. Think of it. Yeah. Productivity and efficient improvement through innovative technology. Now this is where that's clearly it says the opportunity. Yeah. Clear opportunity, because Melta has huge opportunity, because Melta is good in technology. Melta is good in introducing new technology. Melta is good in introducing new systems. So it has introduced new systems in manufacturing as well as in plantation industry. So then these are going to be interesting times for Melta. I'm very excited about this agricultural information what CEO want to go through with. Vertical farming, hydroponics, good agriculture practices, geographic information system, all these things are available but limited. In Sri Lanka, all these things, all this information available but limited. The making use of this is limited, because number one, the expertise, number two, willingness to shift. So these are critical ones which can be make use, and people are not making use. IoT, AI, drones, robots, we are not using anything. We are not using anything. So I'm not marking that as threat. I'm marking that as opportunity, because space to grow, space to make use of all these things. Nanotechnology, we are not making use of it. e-agriculture services available in Sri Lanka, but nothing on a bigger way, because there are about 4-5 sites which tells you what type of fertilizers to be add on, what is the combination that you have to go, how you should plant. All those things are there, but it's very less. Nobody's making use of. One of the biggest reasons why they're not using it, or why they're not adapting this e side of it, is like it's very slower. Okay, adaptation is very slower. Why is that? Because the internet speed available in the rural areas of our country. Okay, lack of awareness. People don't know about it. Like, I didn't know about it until I went to search for it, because we have about we have about 5 pretty good ones, but they are not operative in big scale. They are limited in operation because nobody is making use of it, so there is no growth. Yeah, go and have a look at it, guys. Seriously, okay. Available for services. The services are not available outside. It's very, very, very low and very, very meek. Then the loans, again, it's a positive now. Okay, it's positive, so people could get the right loans. The government banks advertising now, even government banks advertising to come and get the loans. So it's interesting now, the right time to move into these areas, because I'm sure some of you all would have, or most of you all, I don't know if you all are living in the urban areas, you would have started planting something at home. I did that, and I'm enjoying it now, to be very honest. I don't have big garden space, but what other space what I have, like I could manage my daily vegetables now. I'm very proud of it. Yeah, so I don't have to worry about any lockdown anymore. Right. Okay. So and finally, one of the biggest reasons that we are not adapting it slower is the knowledge and the education. Now, we are not encouraging people to work on that particular area. It's very less. It's less people, because the education is about we are not including this, and we are focusing on STEM, and we are not and now the focus is on commerce, but not on this agricultural aspect of it. So systems, there are enough opportunities. You can see now the way we looked at the complete red area on the impact of the economy. We see full bright side in the agriculture side. That's what the case says. Okay, that's what the case is. On the agriculture side, there are plenty of opportunities to go on. On the other side, we had a lot of threats happening. Yeah, that's how it is. On the value-added industry, anyway, it's quite interesting now. It's possible to plant in 19 districts. They've added 3 more districts. Yeah, the trees, rubber trees. So that means you could have, except in 6 districts, all other 19 districts, you can grow the trees. So that is interesting. Okay. You will realize why. Okay, you will realize why. One of the biggest reason that this particular loss in production, you can see 40% in drop in production. Okay, in within 10 years, you're looking at a 40% reduction in our production. Now, if you go and see, if you analyze in actual scenario, this is actual data, okay, what they have provided. The actual data is that, the actual scenario is that we have lost lands for urbanization and the other economic activities. Like economic activities such as, in certain areas, they have gone in for cinnamon, but cinnamon is also now shrinking. They've gone in for pepper. Pepper is also shrinking. So they've gone in other economic activities, cutting down all the rubber trees. So, and add to that, they're given a figure, how much they lost in hectares, but I'm not included here. Add to that, 89% is untapped. They are undertapped. Now, undertapped because of labor shortage. So labor shortage is coming in now. Could you see, we retrench people, Malta retrench people because of the old system. So there is some kind of a conflicting situation. We retrain system because of the old system, and now we are talking about undertapped. Trees are undertapped. That means whatever the trees what you have also has been undertapped. That is because shortage of labor. So that means the industry is not properly organized. So that's why I marked a threat over there, because it is not being, think on these angles, think on these ways. Okay, so that means you have an opportunity to get in now. Labor is reduction, labor is less, labor is reduced because people have moved out, because probably they will not stay into that particular industry because if the salary is not enough. Yeah, this is the exact situation. Okay, salary is not enough. So if the salary is not enough, then people are not going to stay. Yeah. On the positive side, huge demand for these latex products. Yeah. So we are the demand is increasing. That's good sign. That's an opportunity. So that means you can be in the market. You can be in that particular rubber market for a long period of time, because there's a global demand increasing, and we have seen that very specifically. So Sri Lankan product in the I not touched upon the unseen yet, but then you could see certain things would happen over there. So the import from Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, and Malaysia increases. So those are the other countries that are manufacturing natural rubber. And also the value-added rubber products, their export target, they're expecting to increase by 65% in 5 years. It's a government is looking at. That's quite positive, huh? That's quite positive, because when you look at when you see 65%, it looks humongous, but then if you see it's around about 10.2 year on year. Yeah, 10.2% year on year. If you can't achieve 10.2% year on year, then it's no point, right? And once again, that's going to be very interesting, because Sri Lanka is the world's largest solid tire manufacturers. Okay, that means industrial tire manufacturer, solid tire manufacturer. When you look at the industrial tire, you are looking at the Becos. You are looking at not the normal vehicles. Okay, you're looking at heavy vehicles. You're looking at aircrafts. It's the demand is such. Okay, and in Sri Lankan context, 62% of the exports are the tires, the complete aspect of it, which is true, right? Unlike tea, now tea, if you see any bigger brands, they will say Ceylon tea by the company. Okay, I don't mind spelling some names. Okay, Lipton Ceylon tea, Ceylon tea by Dilma. They add that Ceylon tea because the country as a brand for that particular product is known. So country as a brand for latex is not known. It was known, now vanished. But still, in the world arena, people prefer Sri Lankan made tires. Sri Lankan latex they prefer, because our latex is much better. Yeah. So this is where that we should be able to capitalize. So Melta coming out, Sri Lankan rubber by Melta. Yeah. So their own brand added with the country brand, and it's possible because government is looking at 65% growth. So obviously government is going to give the support. Yeah. And versatility, the experience of technologists and the designers available in Sri Lanka, we are pretty good in that. So that means what? The quality and durability. It's a huge opportunity for us to go. Yeah. As a whole, the whole country. Yeah. So I've said that as a strength also, because Melta also have that, and you could see what the report, what it says from as far as the rubber industry concerned, that the technologists and designers are also readily and huge they are available, and that's where these our tires are doing pretty good. Few details, few information. I've given you the website also, because they don't love to go further beyond this particular point. I was not interested of buying that what do you call this particular report, but it's very interesting. What are the information what they had, I was able to grab. You could see there is a huge demand or huge growth in synthetic rubber. Okay, there's a huge growth in synthetic rubber, right? And why that huge growth in synthetic rubber? When you go dig a little bit deeper, the huge growth in synthetic rubber is nothing but it's because of non-availability of the natural rubber. Because natural rubber is quite expensive. Natural rubber is expensive, but it's long lasting. Yeah. So people, the synthetic rubber market is expanding exponentially than the normal rubber. So you could see the difference, your natural rubber versus the synthetic rubber on what is on your right side of the screen. You could see that. Yeah. And they're given the breakdowns of, where they have been used. Industrial rubber market, what are the industrial rubber market, where they use for in 2026, how they are going to make use of it. Automotive is going to be much higher, constructions, then on manufacturing and electrical and electronics, and also in the other element. Everywhere there are going to be a growth than within that particular period. Like, you're looking at within the next 7-10 years time, the growth is there. So we are looking at another, this report is valid for us from 2000. Now we are already we are in 2020. So for next 6 years, so that means that the growth is going to be there. So we need to see how we can make use of it. You could see the total market is expected to reach by 44 billion. Yeah. So that is like we are expecting 5.2% growth. Whereas what was our growth? What was our GDP? It's not growing so much. Okay. So that means there is a huge demand. There's a huge opportunity for this particular market outside. So getting into this particular market is nothing wrong. Yeah. Working on this particular market, there is absolutely no issues at all. I'm trying to give you all a summary kind of thing, what we have done, what we are looking for, what we are seeing, how do we work and create these elements. When you look at these, the next step, what you do is like, you try to formulate this onto a SWOT. Yeah. So you have drop everything what you have here, right? Your opportunities, your weaknesses, your threats, drop everything what you have here. Okay. Then you need to work on your TOS matrix. Yeah. Carefully analyze what the TOS matrix looks like. It's an opportunity for you to see how you could create the options available to you, right? So for rubber, you can see we have rubber stocks available for a couple of years. So this weakness, with the materials, now it's going to go off. Okay. Hospitality, on a similar perspective, great facilities, good location. They were profitable till 2019. So you can see that they have grown. There was no employees being turned off. That's an absolute strength, to go off with. We donated 100 million. That is also pretty good because, we have established your name, your brand in the market also. The weakness, the occupancy rates, obviously, we are not done much great in the occupancy rate. The fixed cost is high. The working capital issues are there for us. The opportunity coming up, I've taken from two sites, one from the US site and other one from the UK site. Very interesting. US is warning at level 3. That means they are saying avoid non-essential travels. So that means tourists don't go. It doesn't matter to us much because we don't get any major US tourists here. Okay, they fly right across us and they go into um, uh, Malaysia and Singapore, but they don't stop here. So that's fine. So US, we are not, will not be much disturbed with the this particular area, the US warning area. Okay, if you look at the other one, the UK one, where our tourists are coming, they have listed Sri Lanka where people can visit. Yeah, so they're not making any restrictions over there. That's interesting part. Okay, that's quite interesting. This is the latest information from their government website itself. Pretty interesting. Okay, they have listed certain countries. India is not there. Maldives is not there. So they are listed, but Sri Lanka is there in the Asia Pacific. If you see Asia, Sri Lanka is there. So, and Sri Lanka, but they are giving the information saying that, what happens if you have corona, what to do, what are the facilities, what are the things that is there. So entire information they're giving over there, but they are not saying that, don't go, right? They're not saying don't go. So they are restricting travel for certain other countries, except these countries. So this is very interesting to see. So for me, it's an opportunity. Because you could expect, but then on the other side, I'm not sure what the government decides to do. Whether they are going to bring in tourists and manage, how they are going to manage in the future. Are they going to have 14 days? So who is going to come and spend 14 days unless you make that 14 days also as a part of the package? Yeah, so then every tourist are going to be here on a long-term basis. So even after 14 days, we say 14 days, still after 14 days, you you self-isolate at your home for another 14 days. That's what we advise now. So then 1 month, are you going to be inside? Now these are the questions that you need to manage. Yeah. So still it's question mark for us. Okay, still we don't know, but the science looks pretty interesting. This is something which I did a little bit of research to see how things looks like. Okay, so looking at sorry guys. Okay, right. The next one, agriculture. Now, most of the things you see that I'm touching on the threat area, but very few on the weakness, because weakness they are not talked much on to look into the organizational perspective. It was much lesser. Okay, so that's why I have not done it. I have not picked anything up. Maybe you all would have picked something up. Maybe some work in progress issues might be there for them. Nevertheless, this is what I have prepared. Okay, so this is something what able to pick it up from the case itself. Labor market is good because I've said the labor market is good because we were able to retain my numbers. 1,800 is still there, right? And also I was able to employ the daily wage employers. So it will be interesting because people who are without jobs also now would be thinking that they could join us. Yeah, so that's why I've said the labor market might be a positive perspective into us. 2013 onwards, we are profitable on the on my agricultural aspect of the factory aspect of it. Then I have my foreign clients and domestic tire manufacturers and as well as own. So I'm diversified a little bit to not only sticking into one particular area, because see, in case my own factory Melchak don't want rubber, then I lose everything out. So without doing that, I have my domestic clients as well as the overseas clients, so that I can have my rubber being exported. So not an issue. The plants in my area is very, in my factories are very good, sophisticated, high-end ones. So that's a good possibility, opportunity. There are enough other opportunities to go. We talked about it. Vertical farming, IoTs, AIs, nanotechnologies. So all these aspects would have an opportunity for us in the agricultural sector to work things out. The demand is also continuously increasing, and there are a few threats on the other side where the internet are not available, the lack of awareness about usage, non-availability of services, and so forth. So you have other perspective also. So once you have this, now you need to create your own strategies. I'm not going to come out and tell you this is the strategy what you need to create, because as I said at the start, we do expect the students to have their own thinking. Now, so for example, if you try to link with the present context here, okay, I'm just going back to the main rubber industry. Now you are having enough rubber, okay, for next couple of years, you have enough rubber, and look at the opportunity what you have. The demand is growing, okay? So demand is growing. So if the demand is growing and you have enough rubber, and there is, new opportunities to expand globally, take that opportunity. What do you do then? Yeah. So if you want to expand globally, then what do you do? Then you have to decide, are you going to go alone or are you going to go with a partnership? So what is the possibility? Now this is where the strategy creation comes in. So then probably looking at the strength what you have, looking at the experience what you have in Thailand, looking at the experience what you have in Italy with your arm of the marketing, so probably you can work with another global partner. Yeah. So now you're going to create these strategies before you go to the exam. You're going to create these strategies before you go and look at the unseen. Okay. Since you know the unseen that you can't be creating now, so you should create the strategies prior you go to the exam. Have these options evaluated. Have everything worked out. Okay. Because once you do, because see, end of the day, the models are going to be quite similar. The growth will be the target. How you're going to achieve the growth is the secondary aspect of it. Okay. So then you could have some information, and that information could change in the unseen. So when the information changes in unseen, then you should be able to adapt it. That's what we are. That's what, when you go on to the strategic level, we work with uncertainty. We work with risk. Yeah. If you can't work with uncertainty and risk, then you're not going to be at the strategic level. You're going to be at the operational level itself, where you are no more in the operational level. Okay. You're in the strategic level. So you should be able to work with that risk and that opportunity. That's where this particular, this particular examination is going to groom you. This particular model is going to groom you to get into that. So create these strategies. So as I said earlier, your TOS matrix would play a bigger role. Understand what the TOS matrix is. Identify how to create strategy. Creativity is very important. Identify how to create strategy with your SWOT matrix. How do you convert it? How do you link it? Yeah. Mini to maximax. So different kind of strategies. Create these strategies. I hope and pray what I am talking, you all know it, because you'll have finished those syllabus areas. If not, go back and learn the TOS matrix well. If you learn the TOS matrix, then you should know what SWOT is. If you know what SWOT is, then you should go back to your internal analysis and external analysis. Then once you have that, once you create those TOS matrix, you must know the type of strategies that you can create. Whether you want to create some strategies on direction, whether strategies on growth, what type of portfolio that you should have. So you must know what you're doing and the toes itself. So it's everything is interlinked. Everything is interlinked to work off. Okay, right. So once you have that, then we'll get into the unseen area. So now you are prepared. Believe, okay? You believe, I believe that you are prepared. I wanted a message also to be sent to you all to read and analyze the case and come before, you're listening to me. Otherwise, it will be like a film, okay? Otherwise, you're watching a film now, right? So actor is acting from this side, you're watching, okay, this is what is going to happen, and you'll be listening to it. That's it. Don't watch films. I'm not saying don't watch films in your TV or whatever it is, but don't watch films in the webinars. Be an active participant, like acting in a drama. So that's why I wanted you all to work with your case, look at the case, look at the options, and come. Then then people will understand what I'm talking, whether it makes sense. How do I approach? Is my approach is right? Whether my approach is wrong? That's where we are trying to clear this out. Okay. So on the unseen material, I'm straight away going into the question. Okay. That is what I would expect even you to do. You have 20 minutes. Yeah. Before you start writing it up, 20 minutes reading time. So with the 20 minutes, what I would do is I go to the question and I will break this question into pieces, small pieces. I will break this question to understand what it is. Okay. It says assignment, write a report to the board of directors. To whom? To the board of directors, including the areas agreed upon by committee members as given above, including a conclusion. So probably the committee members would have agreed on certain conditions, right? Write a report to the board of directors, including the areas agreed upon by the committee members as given above, including a conclusion. Very interesting. Okay. So that means already they would have agreed what to be done. Already they have agreed certain things that they are going to do. Okay. We don't know that because it is unseen. We don't know that. Okay. So I'm going to keep that in mind. Go down further. You are required to use appropriate frameworks, models, and theories in formulation, prioritization, and recommendation of proposed strategies. Now we go. Okay. So they want you to propose strategies. They want you to tell strategies. That's a report that you're going to write. Please note, you are not required to prepare a table of content, executive summary, or introduction. Clearly state any assumptions you make. Very good. Clearly state any assumption you make. Why they don't want a table of content? Why they don't want an executive summary? Why they don't want an introduction? Because you're writing a report to the directors about their company itself. So do you think that you will know better or they will know better about their company? Simple as that. So understand whom you're writing this report to. So don't go and explain, as you're aware, this company is not doing so great. We had only 18% of occupancy last time. We were contributing 26%. No, don't write those because it's been already talked in the case. That means that directors knows about it. So no, give new details. Don't talk old details unless you want to compare and contrast, unless you want to make huge differences, unless you say why that this is possible, this is not possible, why this is going to work through. Otherwise, don't give old data in what you're talking about because board of directors knows about it. Don't just give them as you're aware for your information. No need. They know it already. That's why I think the examiners have very clearly said, please note, you are not required to prepare a table of content page, executive summary, or introduction. Nothing. Don't introduce the company. You are writing a report to the board of directors. Board of directors knows better than you. Think on that always. A lot of people make this mistake even in their real life. Okay, when you want to write a report, they will start writing saying, our turnover is to 550 million. Our cost, directors knows that. Don't do it. Don't need to do it. Okay, no need to do it. Don't even tell them that we have grown by 15%, because they know it. Because it impacts them greater scale than you, because that impacts them in their bonuses. Yeah, so they will know that last time they missed the bonus by 1%, because they were supposed to grow by 16%. They grew only 15%, and they lost a considerable amount of bonus. So they know it. So you don't have to rub on them again. Okay, so don't do that. Whatever the information that they want is give them something which they don't know, something that it's good to know, something that comparative activities, what is a totally different what they are coming out from, which might impact your sales, which might impact your market growth, which might impact your survival of the organization. Give to them. That's what is required. And don't only give the problems, give solutions. Don't go into the board of directors without solutions. Go with solutions. Don't take the problems only. You need to inform the other problems, but give alternatives. Now that's where the alternatives comes in. That's why they're asking to do prioritization. Okay, let's go the other slide. Okay, for a minute. Okay, marks allocation. You see 50 marks coming up at that particular point, 25, 5, 30, 40, 50. Okay, so that 50 marks is what I'm talking about. That's what I said. I'm going to talk on that particular perspective. Yeah, and also you can talk on the ethics perspective as well. Ethics perspective, once again, okay, just to touch something, this is not been discussed in the paper. You can talk about the ethical perspective on the taxation, like you can pay now or pay later or whatever it is. But for example, on ethical perspective, we saw the rubber plantation is shrinking because the land is lost for other economic activities. Now, one of the areas here, you can see feasibility of the project on organic food. Okay, so that means the directors are looking at going into that organic food manufacturing market. That means you are going to make use of the land. So either you acquire the land or you make use of the land which you have already in the plantation. Okay, so if you see that the revenue is higher, you would be tend to move into organic food in your own land because the capital cost is going to be zero. So think of that. Okay, so ethical aspect of it, when I was doing it, like I remember that look, I'm talking about this to grow, and now I'm going into this. So this economic activity will give me a better results. So then what am I going to do? You are in a dilemma. Okay, what do you want to do? So think of that, right? So you're looking at, they're allocating marks for corporate and business strategies. So that's why I started upon what are the corporate and what are the business strategies are. They're looking at technological applications to suit new normal conditions. They're looking at entry strategies to rubber industries. And also they are looking at feasibility of the project on organic food. So when I read this, now still not 20 minutes on, okay, when I read this, now there are a lot of questions will be running in my mind. Technological applications. So that means in my unseen, in my pre-seen, there was no much of this technological application, but they were talking about what? They were talking about agricultural technology, IoTs, drones. They were talking on those perspective. Okay, fine. So probably how do I work with the work on the technology on that particular perspective? Now it should be running in my mind. Okay, It should be running in my mind. 5 marks is awarded there. Yeah, good 4 marks could be grabbed at that particular point. Then if you're looking at the new normal conditions, what is new normal conditions? We are looking at new normal conditions with PPEs, that is personal protective equipments. That new normal conditions, on what basis that do I need to have these technological applications to work off with? If I read certain things before I go into a country, the country wants the entire details of yours. Where are you going to stay? With whom you're going to stay? The purpose of your travel, your flight details, your seat numbers preferred. You know, all those information will be given. It will be captured on site. Then whether that could be linked with the hotel reservations that you're making off with. Yeah. So whether that could be linked to see your movement, where are you traveling from? So do you have an app which you can carry with you to show what are the roads, what are the routes you took in case you have corona, or in case in that particular region where you have been, they have had corona. So then it's easy for you to be tested. Now these are the things that you can think of immediately. This is what I thought the moment I start reading it. Yeah. So you need to have don't lose these 5 marks out. Okay. This is very important. There's a huge difference between 48 and 51. Okay. There's a huge difference between 48 and 51. Right. So the 3 marks, 4 marks is very important. Right. So please remember that. Thinking of that nature. Can it be linked with the hotels? Can it be linked with the supply chain? Now we know that supply chain has got affected. So what are the systems that we need to put in place? We have a highly sophisticated manufacturing system with us. We have a highly sophistication of tracking system with us. We have a highly sophisticated incorporating end users view in our production. So we have these systems in place. Anything that we can do new, anything we can include. Now, these are the things that we might have to talk on that, because there is nothing very specifically that they're asking. So let's go and see then anything that they are talked about in unseen. This is what should hit you. This is how you should be clarifying. Okay. The next one, entry strategies to rubber industry. Wow, I'm already in the rubber industry. What is this new thing that they're talking about? Okay, they must be talking something with a new product, or with a new market, or with a new diversification. Entry strategy. Okay. So, okay, let me see what I should be doing. So entry strategy, immediately, I'm going to think of how I'm going to enter into the new market, whether I can manufacture a new product and I can go alone. I can have a manufacturing facility over that particular country or that particular region, and then I can go with my own branding, or I can go with a joint venture where they are operating at that particular site. I could you make use of their distribution facilities, and I could manufacture from Colombo from Sri Lanka, and then I can export it for them so that they could do different ways, different entry strategies, different ways that you can go. So you can go licensing, you can go what do you call franchising, you can go on a joint venture, you can go on strategic alliance, so many ways, right? So now so immediately the models come into my mind. So I have already learned that. That's what I said international. Okay. I've already done in my, what I've seen, I've already done with the pre-scene. I've already worked on what type of strategies that I could work things out. I would have worked that with my Toast matrix. So each and every area I would have created a Toast matrix and created strategies with that. Wow. Okay. Now that might come into handy. So I know it, I'll hold on to it. Now I know that let's see with what are the case, what is telling us, how do we make use of it? Done. So your 5 marks, 10 marks covered. Feasibility on the project on organic foods. Okay, now they are talking about new one, organic food, right? Let me see now what is the information. Feasibility is what? Feasibility is, that means what? Feasibility is whether I could get my resources, yeah, where I could get my resources, whether I could get my resources at the right price, whether I could get my market, whether the market is possible, uh, whether I might have to do a net present value, I might have to do a project evaluation, I might have, and also I might even have to do add value by talking, because they're given 10 marks. So nobody's going to give me 10 marks if I just do a NPV calculation. Yeah, NPV calculation is not going to help me on any way, right? It just, that is only 2 marks or 1 marks or 3 marks maximum. Then how do I interpret that? How do I work on that? How do I talk to them about whether this project is suitable, whether this project is acceptable by the stakeholders? So I need to talk on that particular perspective also to make it, because it is 10 marks. 10 marks, you're looking at, you know, spending at least 18 minutes of working, 18 minutes of writing. Now you're structuring this in your mind. Now this structuring and 18 minutes, you start writing to see, within 18 minutes, you can write at least about 4 to 5 pages. Okay, if you have a structure in your mind. So now this is what you're doing within the 20 minutes time. Now you're analyzing. Oh, right. Okay. Now this is what is, because financial reporting concerns, tax planning, administration, ethics, my friends, you all have to be on the ball. There is no second question. You don't have to even think about it. Okay. At this particular stage, you all are experts. Remember that. If you tell me that, you know, I don't know what to talk about this tax planning, then sorry, you're not a chartered accountant to be. Okay, to be very honest. So don't even think about it. So these areas has to be in your fingertips. These 30 marks has to be obtained. There is no question. Okay, there is no question. So then when you're working on the 25 marks, it's not a bigger issue, not a bigger problem, right? But that 50 marks is your critical area. 50 marks is a critical area. Think on that particular perspective. Now you have got 25 marks under control. Now you know what exactly to be done. Now they're looking at corporate and business strategies. What type of corporate and business strategies that they're expecting? I need to read now. So corporate strategies, we just went through. Corporate strategies could be the way we grow. Okay, that is covered in that entry strategy also. What is my portfolio going to be? Okay, let's look at whether they are given any information. Which direction I'm going to take, whether it is hands-off metrics, whether I'm going to go on market penetration, whether I have to do, okay, I'm ready with that also. I have already analyzed it for all 3 areas. So I'm not sure which area they are asking. I've analyzed for plantation, I've analyzed for factory, I've analyzed for the hotel. Now I need to know which one they are actually asking for. So probably they are asking, they have already asked for organic food, they have also asked for rubber industry. Probably that might be mainly for hotels. Okay, I don't know. We can park it. Now this is how we are going to do with the 20 minutes, okay? Don't jump into the picture. Do not jump into the case and start reading it. No. Analyze first. This 20 minutes is given to you bonus, right? Make use of the 20 minutes of analyzing, structuring your mind, what you're going to do. Write down quickly, write down quickly, write down quickly on the side paper. I don't know whether you're allowed to write down, but if it is not, think of it. Yeah. Think of it. This is the structure I'm going to have in my mind. This is what I'm going to work it out. Okay. So looking at what you have right now you have a rough idea what exactly that you are supposed to look at when you're reading. You're supposed to look at the feasibility of the organic food. So that means you have to look in for a project that you're looking at. You're supposed to look into a entry strategy, what they are talked about in the rubber industry. And you're supposed to look into the technologies applications, but into this new system, new norms, what are going on. And also you're looking to new corporate and business strategies to go off. Yeah. So what to use? You have to use appropriate frameworks. You have to use appropriate models. You have to use appropriate theories. So remember all what I talked about from your corporate strategies, looking at your hands-off matrix, to your G matrix, to BCG matrix, your growth models, uh, everything. But you need to use appropriate ones. I suppose they would expect a nice combination. Then on the other hand, how are you going to compete? On what basis you're compete? Because it's very clearly says Melta is more towards high-end products. They're talking about high-end products. They're talking about quality. Quality is their main concern. They're not talking about any price anywhere. Yeah. They're not talking about any competitiveness. They're not talking about any, pricing factor. They're not, no. Yeah. They're talking about high-end products. They're talking about quality of the products. The endorsement of the, the professionals also come on the quality of the product. So that means, in my view, I had to read the rest of the case to understand further. But the case what I've done, the unseen, the pre-seen what I've done up to now is going to be on my differentiation. I'm not going to go and focus differentiation because I'm supplying for 40 countries and I'm on different areas as well. So I'm not focusing on narrow segment. I'm not focusing on narrow area. So when I say narrow segment, in manufacturing, probably narrow segment, maybe only one area, specialized medical equipments. That's one area, narrow area. So that's why then I can go focus differentiation. I'm not doing that. I'm going on a differentiation strategy, high-end products with the pricing. Yeah, probably a Mercedes strategy I'm doing. Yeah, probably a BMW strategy I'm working on with, right? So that's what I'm doing. So now I will think. Then I will give them options. I will give them options. I will give them option to see what type of strategy, because that they're looking at a new entry strategy, whether that entry strategy by market analysis, by market, what I've done about the market, I know that it's quite expensive to start up a factory. I know the factory process is going to be a bit expensive. So it might not be cheaper. So then if I had to grow, I must have options, because we have to take that also into consideration. Obviously, there are loans also available now in Sri Lankan context. So that is also possible. My cost of capital is around 12%. So that is also possible. That has been said on the case. Now I'm running these things in my mind, okay? What I'm going to run, what I'm going to do. So therefore, I should generate some options, then prioritize it, which is the better one. Which option is the best one? Once I know the best one, then I will make the recommendation, look, go with this particular strategy. Go with this particular strategy. So sometimes on the way, I might have to assume certain things. Yeah. Very, very, very interesting. Whatever we have to assume, the unseen, they have said that already. That was my, I was smiling to myself. I was trying to assume that, there would be a vaccine. They've already said there's a vaccine. I was trying to assume, everything will be good. They've already said that, things are working better. So interestingly, okay, now the situation has changed. Now you saw there was a bleak black area or a red area in the economic development because of all these things coming into play. Okay, you lost your remittances, you lost that, you lost this, you are working on this, all this perspective because of COVID. Yeah, because of COVID. Now the COVID is out of the picture. That's what it's going to be. Okay, so let's go for that, right? So what they're talking about in uncertain situations, they need to monitor. Yeah, so they need to review. They need to review what very clearly they're saying. Anything which is subject, yeah, anything is subject to judgment, anything is subject to estimation. They have to review that, because now you could make the wrong judgment under pressure. You could have a wrong estimation under pressure. So in uncertain situation, what do you mean by uncertain? Uncertainty is where you don't have information. You don't have information at all. When you don't have information, it's the uncertain situation. The risk-taking situation is where you have some kind of information, so you can take a risk, you can go on a probability. Uncertain, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Yeah, I'm very happy and very pleased that all the universities are going to open on Monday, right? But still we have an uncertain situation. We don't know. Sri Lankans are very good in building this immune system. It's pretty interesting. It's a case study, to be very honest. Okay, it's an absolute case study how we took care of ourselves, and how did the systems work to help to get these things out. It's pretty interesting system, pretty interesting case study to work off with. Okay. Nevertheless, so in the uncertain situation, you need to review what is your subject to judgment. Now your subject to judgment is that there is no more corona in the society. Okay. But people can say that, it's with figures, facts and figures. Yes, accepted. There's no one is being tested positive from the society. Very good. There's no second question. Yeah, I'm really happy about it. But then you need to review every time. You need to review when you're in these uncertain situations. You have to review. So that is what these guys are doing. That is what Melta is doing. And they are concerned about these debtors. That means receivables. And also they're concerned about assets. Protection of assets. How it moving, how it is working. So you need to be. They are really doing a good job, according to the case. They are really doing a good job monitoring, assessing the situation, how the situation is going on. Now they're given the information about Eagle Regency. Now they're saying occupancy rate 15%, 2021. 21, 22, 25%, and 2023 is going to be 30%. So there is some unused tax losses, and they are giving a what you call a small controversial point between the accountant and the CEO. So CEO feels something else. He has a different viewpoint of the tax, and the accountant has a different viewpoint of tax. So you need to do it even they are not asked for it. Okay, you need to do this. You need to do this under Eagle Regency topic. You need to do it because they are not talked about any other strategies for Eagle Regency. Okay, so you need to work on this. You need to work on this, and you need to give your insights. Now this is going to be coming in with the tax regime. The marks, 10 marks, what you saw there. Okay, within that particular point which is come. So you need to, this is your work, right? But since they're not asked very specifically about anything, I don't have to do it. No. You need to do this because they are bringing up a different views here. So when they are on different views and directly it's an accountant and you're the accountant. Okay, you're the chief accountant. That's what they're saying, I think, right? So if you're the accountant, now this is you need to give this information to them very, very clearly, right? So that's very, very important. So as a let's see what they're talking about. Committee member, blah blah blah. Okay, you as the chief financial officer of Melta, right? Therefore, this is under your responsibility. Although the accountant of Eagle Regency can say anything, but then you need to prepare and you need to tell who is right, who is wrong, what is the right way. So give them the right picture, because we deal in black and white, right? Not we don't deal in gray, no. So black and white, right? So give the right picture to work off with. So your marks are now flowing, right? The new scenario, situation is good in Sri Lankan context. Now vaccine is available with no major cost. Now, did you see that? That's very important. That is very important. Okay. So vaccine is going to be available with no major cost. That means people who are powerful would get first. People who are people who are very, they could have access would get first, right? So whatever the country is manufacturing, their friendly nations would get first. Okay, so that is something that you have to see. Okay, they're talking about Australia. So Australia is generally linked with 5. There are 5 friendly nations. Australia, the close 5 friendly nations: New Zealand, Australia, New Zealand, UK, US. 5 nations. I can't remember the 5th one. Sorry, guys. Okay, 5 nations. Check it out. So those 5 nations would have enough information about you if you have traveled once. So they will have enough information. If you love traveling, you will understand. They ask a very specific questions whether you have traveled to these particular countries earlier. So if you have traveled to these particular countries, they don't ask much of a question, because they know, like, you have gone and come without any problems. That means you have been scanned already. Okay, so if Australia is going to get, so that means the rest of the countries, that you can see that more of the new vaccine has been accepted by American Medical Council. Okay, so that means they're good to go, but they would get first. Okay, they would get first. They would go with first. Now that is norm. That is the normal practices. Okay, you could see that already with that Oxford what do you call the discovery, the vaccine. EU has invested already 500 million pounds in Oxford, whether it is positive or negative, right? Whether the outcome is positive or negative, they have invested for the research. So that's how they get it. Okay, so then obviously if that Oxford medicine works, which will take time to give the results, unlike the Russian vaccine, it will be interesting. It will be very interesting because those are the nations who will be getting first. Okay, but Oxford always was saying that they would go with manufacturing with India, because India could produce this vaccine at a very low cost because of numbers. Okay, so then we being then closest nation to India, or I don't know whether we are friendly nation to India, there's an opportunity, or there's a possibility that we could get that vaccine as well. Okay, so in real terms, okay. So now this is where the situation is. So that means they are allowing, if you see the last point, WHO further emphasizes that countries in the world should be alert about the possible second wave of coronavirus and encourage people to keep social distance and use protective hand wears and much as possible. So protective hand wears much as possible. So that means hand wears is what, this is what Melta wants. So Melta can produce Melta can produce disposable ones. The Melta can go with disposable things. Now these are opportunities which are coming up with Melta when we read these things. Okay, so we can quote aspect of it. So even the COVID is removed, even the COVID is not there, the strains will be there. So then people need to be careful about it. Okay, so people need to be they need to wear, their WHO is advising them to wear protective hand gears, right? So that's that scenario. Tourism, again, positive advice, right? And Sri Lanka, according to the case study, Sri Lanka is being targeted as a self-quarantine destination, right? So anybody who would want to travel could travel to Sri Lanka and relax in a hotel with a self-quarantine facilities. But people misunderstood this self-quarantine facilities, thinking that they could go walk about in the hotel. No, they can't walk about in the hotel. Okay, they have to be inside their room. So I don't know who wants to come for 14 days to stay inside the room. Number two, the airlines have now started accepting passengers and with PCR test. Yeah, so airlines are now nominating hospitals which the PCR test will be accepted. So 96 hours prior, I just saw, because I had to fly next month. So I'm just getting prepared. So now I decided not to go anyway. For just preparation, I just went and checked certain things to see, even if I go to UK, I have to be 14 days, I have to be self-isolation. I don't want to pay 670 pounds into 14 days and be in the hotel 1,000 pounds. No, that's not going to be working for me. So I'm out of it. I'm not going to do that. But if I had to go, the airlines will not accept me if I walk in. So I have to get my 96 hours within that 96 hours. That means if I'm flying day after tomorrow, I have to go today or something like that and get my PCR done. And I have to self-declare. There are plenty of procedures. So whether these procedures will be applicable into the tourism side, so tourism to get back to normalcy, the practical terms. Now these are the assumptions. These are the assumptions that the examiners are looking at. Okay, so you need to state these assumptions what you're making, because now so these assumptions are fair assumptions, right? With the present context, they are fair assumptions. So now these assumptions has to be stated whatever the decision that you're making on with. Okay. Agriculture, on the other hand, natural rubber market's increasing. Sri Lanka tires have market has increased. There's a huge food demand, and also organic food. The cost of capital is 12%. You could get a loan for 12% for investment purposes. They're given the then on the page 3 of your unseen. They're nicely given the page 1 and page 1.5. It was nothing. It's all unnecessary things. Page 2 is your present situation, and up to page 3. Then page 3, you have this 10-mark question coming up. Yeah. So they have said this is what Meta PLC has considered in the organic food business for a while, and even finance manager has come up. And even finance manager come up with a project proposal way back in 2019. However, it has not kicked off due to various other priorities. Now it can become a priority. Renewed attention has now come with the pandemic due to the potential demand of organic foods. Accordingly, the finance manager has revised project numbers and estimated cash flows are given below. Moreover, the project report stated that the new funds could be raised at the cost of 12%. So you have the cost of capital, work on the NPV to work things out. Why you're working on the NPV, why you're working on this particular project? Number 1, there's a question. Number 2, it says organic food could increase immunity. So there's close link, according to the case. Okay, there's a close link what they are looking at. So your answer is going to be like, what is your plan for the hotel? So hotel, on one area that you have talked about is you have said about the tax part, leaving on that one side. What do you think that you should be doing to the hotel? What are the ways that you can bring in new tourists? Because now they're revising that percentage, isn't it? Now they're revising the percentage from 12 to 15%. Yeah, I saw that somewhere. Yeah. Where that information? That is there. The occupancy rate. Yeah, occupancy rate to be increased to 15%. So then you need to work on the numbers. Okay, you need to work on the numbers to yeah, it's there on the first page. Fourth quarter, it's 2021, it's 15%. But that's what they're saying. Okay, so whereas on your unseen, on your pre-seen, they were talking about another figure. They're talking about 12%, I think, if I'm mistaken, right? Forward. Yeah, 12%. The third quarter projected 12%. So now in the fourth quarter, they're looking at 15%. So you need to work on your finances accordingly. Okay, so that is one. And also talk about how they could improve, because you're looking at aggressive growing. So you need to see what is the plan that you can work for a hotel. What is that you want to do? Because his aim is to attract overseas market. Now you have, when you work on information, you could see that UK you could bring UK people down here, but then you have to work on these numbers, how the maximum as possible that they could enjoy themselves without being hindering to the other nationals and without hindering to the own Sri Lankan nationals, because we have to be careful, because end of the day, health is wealth. So you need to have the that particular conscious in your mind. So the ethics comes to play, money versus safety. Yeah. So you need to be careful. So what is your plan to the hotel? What are you going to do for the hotel? So you have to give them, you have to work that strategy out and tell them what you should be doing. You make a call, you make a decision, because you have the information, you have the situation of corona, you have the situation. So now by this time, if everybody gets the vaccine, everything back to normal. If everything back to normal, what is your plan to the hotel? They don't have to stay for 14 days. What is your plan to hotel? But still you have to maintain the social distancing. Still you have to maintain the protective gears. So now you can make use of that, the synergize from your factory itself, and have these gloves in the hotel. When they land, you can hand over to them to make use of it while they are in the hotel, so that they don't have any problems in case even somebody is a carrier. Installing the thermal scanners technology, you are bringing it in. Yeah, installing the thermal scanners, 5 marks or 10 marks being given to that, isn't it? So the technology part, what they're talking about, let's see what that, yeah, technology applications, 10 marks. Okay, so see where you can, what you can do, because now that is required to work and bring in new business in, right? So like that, you need to think. Now rubber, what are they saying? They're saying that you are going to go on what? You're going to invest on there's a possibility to go on global tires. Yeah, solid tires, business direction. That's what they're talking about. Yeah, so possible new entry strategies to grab new market to value-added rubber industry, and the main concerns to be considered by Belta. So what is your plan? Now, where is the opportunity? Is the tire industry. The tire industry is growing. Tire industry that you're working off. So on your previous analysis about the value-added rubber industry market, you would have seen tire is the biggest chunk which has been exported from Sri Lanka. So I'm not in a tire. So anyway, what is happening in the tire market? Now this is where the accountants role is now changing. Identifying the business opportunities also, not only counting the money, how much it is bringing in. Yeah. My good friend, who was the accountant, chartered accountant in the former place where I worked. Today he is the CEO of that particular another bigger conglomerate. Yeah. So that is because he was able to get that business acumen. Yeah. So accountants, no more accountants. Okay, y'all are the people who are going to drive the business. So you need to tell them. Okay, what do I need to do this? How do I work with these partners? We have been aiming to go with the external partner. Here we go, joint venture, because of the investment purposes, because the investment is going to be so high. Investment cost, rough estimates. This is what we have. So we have the technology, we know the know-hows, we know we have the best of people who are in technical perspective. So we could acquire, we could work on this perspective, talk to our Malaysian partners, looking at the flow of the raw materials. We have raw materials for more than a couple of years stocks with us with the present situation. So if you even start with the solid tires, probably we can make use of the 50% and develop the plantation sector further to have our raw materials. Give them a plan. So show them a plan, what they want to do. Okay, JV, or is it no need JV? I'm going to go fully fledged. Do I have money to do that? At this particular situation, can I take the risk and work things out? As the industrial operations have been affected by unforeseen circumstances like COVID, is that been, are they stopped it, or it has increased? Obviously it has increased. I know that, because I know one of my friend works for Trailberg. So he tells me they were completely busy. Even the shutdown time, they were completely, because the government wanted the exports to go. So they exported continuous 24/7. They were working. Okay. He lectures for my program, but I could not get certain things marked from him. So that's why I called him. He said, I'm working 24/7. Can you please mark for me? That was the request. So I know that they were doing extremely well. Okay. So what are we trying to work things out? So what is your plan for rubber, right? What is the entry strategy? Are you going to go on solid tires, which everywhere they are mentioning about? You know, solid tires are good, solid tires are that, solid tires are this. So are you going to work on solid tires? Because obviously that's what they're leading into. So they want you to work into solid tires, but then you would have known. Now this is where your analysis comes in. So whatever the pre-seed material you get in your hand, guys, okay, don't stop your analysis only to that particular area. If they are talking about food, if they're looking at organic food, look for fast food also. That's a food industry. Look for natural food as well, you know. So on differently. So then look for genetically modified food, because that's an indication what they are giving it on. So you would have enough. If somebody would have worked something out, got some information, looking at the market share, 62% of the tire, the products what is being exported from Sri Lanka is solid tires. Yeah, and I'm not in that market, and I'm calling myself a fully fledged high-tech technological factory, and I'm not producing what you call tires. Now, how do I know whether I can produce tires? Because I'm capable. Because I'm not only producing unsupported gloves, I'm producing supported gloves also. Two different technologies, two different ways, two different methods. So probably it's a modification. It's a modification of tires. It's a modification of the products to go on with. Whether there's new technology, probably I should go and see the new technology, how to invest. But this is where I'm going to justify myself. 62%. This is the market what they are looking at. This is how it works. This is where the people are concerned. This is why the Sri Lankan market is such that everybody likes Sri Lankan market. Therefore, go on this, number one. Hotel, do this, number one. Number two, plantation. Now they're talking about going on what you call organic food. Talk on organic food. Talk on organic food. They indicated something on your pre-scene, so you would have had enough information. Talk on organic food. Whether the organic food market in Sri Lanka is fulfilled, I don't think so, because the price conscious, price differences. There is a huge there is a segment, because the moment the organic food comes into supermarket shelves, it vanishes, which I have seen in certain supermarkets. In some supermarkets, it's lies, because they're on the wrong segment. They can't go and dump goods where people don't buy that product. They have to identify the areas where they buy. Either they have to go into A-class supermarkets to drop those things. You can't be just going into C-grade supermarkets and drop. It will just remain in the shelf, and it's wasted. So if there is no market demand in Sri Lankan context, where is the market? What are the products that they are looking forward for? How do you look into that? So talk about it. Yes, it's feasible. This thing has been done. What is the next step to do? Even on plantation, increasing of the what do you call the trees, increasing the production of rubber, latex. And we saw that 19 districts is possible. 19 districts possible. 19 districts is without any problem that you can plant. So now these are those are the things which are going to go into your business and corporate strategies. Okay. So when you do this, then I think you're all set for a good answer to go. Okay. Right, guys. I would like to take some questions if you all have. Okay, if you have any questions, you can ask me. If you're comfortable in questions, so you could uh, ask from me any questions which I could uh, answer. Okay, there are some chats on the web. I'm just going through that to read and see how it talks. We can take the business message to MD, which includes to support the expand export option. Yes, of course you can do that, because you see those are the. If you have any question, okay, raise hands. Will the presentation shared? Yes, presentation will be shared. Definitely, yes. Don't worry. Option mute, chat option, raise hand option. Can you see high stock levels or weakness? Yes, you can do that. That's a very good question, which somebody is talking about. Can we say the high stock levels are a weakness? Because they also maybe mean that it involves cost, especially at this time of working capital constraints. Yes, you can do that. But on the other hand, our investment in that particular stock, which is a rare resource, we would know that we will not get that stock. So probably you could. Now this is where your judgmental things going to come in. Okay, so that's why they said that. You remember what the CEO was saying? They have to review that any decisions that they're making on that judgmental perspective. So whether it is worth to hold, in my view, it's worth to hold, because it's very difficult to get, because that's one of the biggest threat that we have in this particular industry: shortage. So if you have enough stock to go for 2 years, yes, the moment it starts, that will deplete very fast. And when you go on, so yes and no, you can argue on that particular basis. So you can say you need to be careful about the cost of holding. Yeah, whether it is possible to not to hold. Yeah, so you have to be careful, because you're playing with fire here. Because if you don't pay those daily wage earners and ask them to do the tapping, what might happen is you must lose the employees. So when you lose the employees, that is also another threat for you, because the number of people who are in that particular industry, you can see that, it very clearly says a number of people who are it's a shortage of employees is also a threat in that particular industry. And that is the reason that this rubber industry is dropping down, because nobody's there to work. So you have two major causes. You have two major threats covering with holding on the stock. So you have to make a call on that. Okay, that is something that you have to go. Very good of thinking. Okay. We can take president message to MD, which includes the support of expand. Yes, definitely you can do that, because now that is going to be an opportunity, because president publicly said that anything to do with export, that he will help. Okay, and especially anything to do with the export on the bigger plantation linkages. So definitely, yes, you can make use of them. Now those are the information that you can, those are live information. That's what I said. When you work on the cases, those are information which are very valid, because that shows the support of the government, where the government also supporting for you to do certain things right. Okay, yes, you can do that. What are the books that we can take on the exam? Okay, that you need to answer. That you need to ask from the I think either Sajivani or Anura will answer that question. What you can take. So probably speak to the examinations also. What are the books that you can take? I'm sure that you can take your A4 sheet or whatever which written notes. So you could see what are the books that you can take. But in my view, don't take many books even if you can, because you'll be wasting your time in turning pages. Every page you turn, it is 11 seconds. So 11 seconds, if you take, if you look for pages, it will take at least about 5 to 6 minutes, unless you know where exactly they are, whether they are marked trimmed and all those things. So I'm not sure how that's going to work. Can we discuss about the overtrading, which they have planned to increase the number of employees? Very good point. Whether it is overtrading or whether it is the proper expansion that you have to talk about. But the way the case is going, it's all going on the positive perspective. So they're looking, so their target of 2,500 people would be able to be achieved with them going into the new plantation with organic plants, as well as they're going into the new factory. So that is possible. Okay, that is absolutely possible, because 1,800 people working in that particular rubber factory. So if you look at 1,800 people plus 300 people, 300 employees in the hotel, so that is 2,100. So balanced for 3,000, 2,900 working in the other factory. That's a 5,000 mark that you have. So if you have a tire factory with 2,500, your target is covered. So I don't know whether they are over trading. That you have to see, because it's a number of employees when you start up a new factory on. That is how the number of employees can be taken into consideration. I hope you got that point. What I'm saying. Yeah. So think on that nature. Is there any word limit for the report? No, I don't think so. Okay, I don't think so. Right. Somebody else started and then they stopped. Okay. That's about it. Any other questions? Any other things that you need to talk? Any other things that you need to work it out? No. Right. So in that case, it's fine. I'm done with the work. I hope this was useful, because my aim is to not to provide answers here. My aim is to make sure that you'll follow a process of approaching the case. Yeah. Completely with open framework. I believe I would see you in when the real case comes out, because I always tell the students to go with complete open framework, because if you go with a closed mind, that is like, I must do this, I must do this, I must do this, then it's not going to be on. So that's why I always say, work on your fundamentals, arrive at a toast matrix, arrive at the strategies, then see how these strategies could be implemented. So when you get your unseen, align and adjust what you have done, and you're through with that. Then you're through. So you need to do some research. You need to do some not some research. You need to do a lot of research with regard to the industries and the areas. Here they are talked about 3 industries. So there is enough information that you need to search on to identify and get that particular knowledge. We'll have enough time to work that out. Right. Anything else? Will annexure carry marks? Why do you want to put annexures? You're not going to submit it, isn't it? You're not going to submit it. So if you want to, like, what you could do is, like, if you're looking for some workings, now even the NPV calculation, I would suggest that you can put it on the annexure and give the results in the main body, because that's what the managing directors wants, isn't it? Right. So if you feel that's why the directors want, they don't want to see the complete workings. They will want to see whether it is positive or negative, and then what is your recommendation. Yeah. So then so those type of workings that you can have it on appendix 1, appendix 2, that's not a problem, or the annexures. But then it's going to be a full report, isn't it? So the way you go about, I don't think there'll be a major problem. So whatever that you don't you think it's a bulk of information, have it separately. That's not a problem, I think. That's a nice question. Do we have to write a report covering the strategic direction and the financial direction over topics mentioned. Yes, I believe it will be better if you could do that, because that's how they are allocating the marks. You remember section A, section B kind of thing. So that's how they're allocating marks. So if you could work that out separately, but if you feel that there is a intertwined, and if you can intertwine it, then it's fine. But I don't see any intertwining or anywhere in that particular perspective, unless you do your financials under the topic of, like, say for example, if you're talking about the hotel, and that financial is coming under hotel, I'm sure it is not, because the financials are coming under the new project and also in the hotels and in certain other aspect. So try and build it separately. Yeah, not to mix things up. That will be much easier, I think. But remember, guys, this is the first time that in a case study they have asked for a conclusion. Okay, although the value of the conclusion is only 5 marks, believe me, if I'm the marker, I'm not the marker. If I'm the marker, that is the first thing I see. I mark for SEMA papers. I see the first, what I see is, before I read the answers, I see the conclusion. I see the final, what they have done. So whether how they manage it. So although it is 5 marks, give that importance to that 5 marks. It's very, very critical. Okay, because if a real professional is marking on the assignment, the paper, he would be interested in the conclusion, how you are concluding the report. What is your final conclusion? Attack this, or what do you need? This is interesting to work on with. This is not very much interesting, but due to this particular situation, that we will go ahead with this. This is very interesting to work on, something of that nature. Have that kind of a nice conclusion element there. Okay. As I mentioned, all the theories, models. Yeah, you could mention the theories. You could mention the theories in the models, but then why do you want to write down the entire models? So you can if you could display that you have the knowledge of using the ANSOF matrix to identify the direction that you're going, that is good enough, rather than drawing it up to say new product, new market, or existing product, existing, that kind of a thing. Well, if you have time, do that. But I'm not personally, I'm not in favor of you drawing theories and putting there, because this is you're looking at the final level. Yeah. So my suggestion would be, build that into that content, mention according to this. This is how it is going on. According to this is what it is. How do you create that strategies? Put it on appendix. How do you create those from the TOS matrix? How do you create that TOS matrix? How do you come into that strategy? TOS, from TOS to strategy, put into that, because that you don't need to explain there on the main body. Put it in your appendix, put it in your annexures, and then you pick whatever the strategy you pick, you talk about that on your main. Then you can refer saying strategy creation is under annexure 2, where the all other strategies have been discussed, and the relevant strategy, why it was selected, is also been mentioned. Then you put the relevant strategy on the main body, then you talk about it. Yeah, that's how you can build your justification. Order, follow the marking guideline. What should be the order of the answer? Follow the marking guideline. It'll be better, because then everybody would know that the markers would know that you have done what need to be done. Yeah. Writing on point form, I don't think so. there are certain things that you can write on point form. Say, for example, market growth 13%. This particular growth 12%. This is 8%. So that you can write on 12 point form. But when you're talking about certain things, when you're trying to explain certain things, it's ideally if you could give proper explanation rather than writing it on. I know point form is good, but then there should be some kind of a substance that, because they're asking for a report, because the report will explain if anything required. Now that's why I told you, you don't have to talk about what organization is. Okay, don't even talk about what organization is, because they know it. Okay, they know better than anybody else, right? So you don't have to talk about what organization is. But on the other hand, if you're looking at what need to be done, what need to be why you are doing this, why did you select this particular strategy than this particular strategy, like on prioritization, then it's much better if you could give an explanation. Don't point form. No, I would discourage for you to go on the point form. Will annexures carry marks? Yes, in the sense like it will make, if it makes sense, because you're trying to it's like a supporting evidence, isn't it? The annexures would be the supporting evidence for your argument. So if your arguments are there, and if the arguments are accepted on the strength of your annexure, so obviously then there is a link between how much the marks have been allocated because of the way that you have gone about in answering your question. Yeah, so that's how it works. Any other questions, guys? Anything else to be answered? I see a good turnover. I'm really happy with this because if you all have any questions, probably you all can always write to Sajivani or even to Anura, and they'll be happy to pass the questions to me, so that we can I can answer much as possible. So if you all need any help on anything, do not hesitate to drop a note to Anura or Sajivani, so that I should be able, they will pass on, and I should be able to help you out. Yeah. No issues if you write without annexure. Absolutely no problems. But only thing is, like, see, you have been asked to write a report to the the directors, isn't it? Like, let's go back onto that. Write a report to the board of directors. Okay, so when you say write a report to the board of directors would be they would not want the workings to be seen, to be very honest. Okay, they only want the results, the end results. So if you're telling that if you're going to incorporate, say for example, for the 10 marks, you're going to talk about if you're going to calculate a NPV calculation, and with the time value for money taken into consideration, all those 12% taken into consideration, all those stuff, if you're looking into that particular way, so I don't think they'll be interested in what you're calculating. End of the day, they want to know, okay, your initial investment is this, and this will be recovered in so many years, and this is the value what you will be getting, because there's going to be lifetime blah blah blah, all those things will be there. Okay, so they will be interested in knowing those areas, rather than they are not interested in to know whether 1 upon 1 plus r to the power of n was calculated, that's a formula you took to do, or whatever it is. They are not interested in that. No, I don't think they want to do that. Okay, so it's good that if you can make your presentation properly, so that even for the markers, when they take in front, take it up, they should feel happy about it. All right, okay, this is good. This is that particular feeling of the feeling should be there. So better try and maximum as possible, present your papers in a presentable manner. Can you bring risk management terminologies as well to this particular question whenever discussing it? Yeah, you could bring the risk management terminologies. Definitely you can bring the risk management terminologies. Nothing wrong with that, isn't it? Because see, when you're, that's what I said, like, you know, when you evaluate your strategies, it's going to be like suitability, acceptability, feasibility. Okay, so then whether it is suitable, whether it is acceptable is where the risk comes in. Acceptable risk, so your risk management terminologies could be brought in there, you know, when you're evaluating the strategies. So your suitability, acceptability is sufficient risk and sufficient return. So what are the risk involvement? So, and how this risk could be mitigated? Fine, absolutely fine, brilliant. You see, this is the benefit of, you know, you becoming a all-rounder rather than focusing only on one side. That's very good. Best suit length. For me, if I see a 2-page report, I'll be very happy, to be very honest. Okay, solid evidence, solid backed answers, solid way of doing things. But unfortunately, it might not be possible. So 3 hours, you have already had 70% of the 70-80% of the information already you have 1 month ago. Okay, for a month you have been having 80% of the information, and I don't think that, you know, the markers will be happy if you give a 2-page report. Okay, so it depends on, I would, how do I say, not too many, not too little. Yeah, it is just enough, you know, just enough to you know, if it is live, I would have told you something else, but over the web I don't want to mention it. But it will be just enough to reveal what your ideas are, and, you know, to make people inquisitive to know what it is. Yeah, so, and it should cover the areas which need to be covered. Yeah, so that's very important. Yeah, it's 4 hours. That's right. Yeah, sorry, it's 4 hours exam paper. Yeah, I was under the impression it's 3 hours. Okay, 4 hours exam paper. So don't worry about the time frame. So you have enough time to you know, work. So I don't think you think of all those aspects of when you're considering 4 hours is quite a long time. Okay. Right. Okay. So that's about it, guys. So all the best. I will. I hope to see you all in the live case. And when you come next time, please prepare. I've given you the indication what need to be done. So I hope when I see you all on the live case, I don't have to work hard to give you all what you all should get. Right. Thank you so much. Take care. Be safe.